It's that time again when you have too much month at the end of your money and... Do you smell that?
Do you smell it? That smell.
That smelly smell.
The kind of smelly smell. A smelly smell that smells smelly.
Instant ramen. I mean, can you even technically call yourself a student if you haven't survived on ramen all day at least once in your degree? Well, I got you, because in this video I want to actually show you 5 things that I did as a student that saved me such an incredible amount of money while being a student and not cutting back on quality of life, and most importantly, how you can do that too. So let's get right into it. So before we get into it, I just want to add that mileage may vary with this one because we are all different and our financial needs or the things that we have to spend or that we want to spend on things is very much different. And I like to follow a concept that I don't know if I coined it, but I call it smart frugality. It means like spend money on the things that you need to pay, spend money on the things that are really important to you, but on all the things that are not important to you, that do not matter at all to you. Cut down drastically on these things because they don't give you much benefit at all. So why bother and spend the money and rather spend it on things that you either have to pay or want to spend your money on. And number 2, we have to just consider that being a student is a super weird situation in your life because you're busy all the time. It depends on your degree, of course, and which courses you have, but oftentimes studying is like basically having a full-time job because you gotta attend lectures, you gotta attend exercises, you have meetings, you have seminars, you gotta write exams, you gotta study, you gotta prepare, you gotta write papers and stuff like that. You're under constant stress, you're busy all the time, and you're broke. You don't have any money. And if you maybe have some time, you're getting a part-time job and work on the side and make a little money to maybe pay the expenses that you have, allow yourself some things. But unfortunately, many people as well have to take on student debt. So being a student is just an absolute nightmare for your finances. Because I'm a student myself and I was just completely sick of this. I was always on the lookout for things that are like really easy to save on, while still making life not suck. And the first one might surprise you. I hear rarely someone talking about this on the internet. And it is to stop going to your barber or to your hairdresser. I know you might say like, the hell? What? But hear me out. I don't recommend you to not cut your hair anymore. I don't recommend like to walk around like someone from Stone Ages. No. What I'm proposing here is something that I've been doing for the past 10 years basically, and it is to cut your own hair. It's as simple as that. For many guys, this is something that I could never imagine, but for many gals out there, this is something that they do anyway. Because most of the women that I know cut their own hair and don't go to a hairdresser because shit's expensive. And if you're a guy and want to, for example, maintain your short hairstyle and get a fresh cut every 2 or 3 weeks or so, nowadays, always, but nowadays especially, going to the barber is really much expensive. And if you want to maintain your fresh cut, you gotta pay a lot. Most people could never imagine to cut their own hair, and so did I. But many years ago, because I was broke and didn't want to spend my money on just cutting my hair like every couple of weeks, I decided to just try to do it myself. And quite frankly, the first like 3 times sucked quite a lot. It wasn't horrible, but it was not that great either. And like I just watched YouTube videos on the internet by, for example, Alpha M, which I really fondly remember, how to cut your own hair. And quite frankly, it's not that hard actually. If you're going for something fairly basic, like a machine cut, if you got it like a simple undercut with a fade or something like this, I can promise you that if you do not have the craziest expectations initially, this is absolutely doable. And even if you want to have like a crazy fade or something like this, like skin fade, low or taper fade, this is absolutely doable. You just got to practice and buy the right equipment. It's not that expensive and it will absolutely pay for itself very quickly. And something that most people know in one area, but never apply to another area, is to buy refurbished. Because I saved so much money by buying used and refurbished stuff, and especially electronics in the past years. Because when, for example, talking about cars, this is so obvious. Most people know that when a car leaves the car dealership, it immediately, the first meter, it loses 10 or 20% of its value. If a car costs $100,000, the moment it leaves the car dealership, it costs about $80,000. The first 5 miles or kilometers it drives, maybe again 10% less, and then the first 1,000 kilometers again significantly less, which means a car that ran 5,000 kilometers costs half the price of the new car. And the same principle is totally applicable to technology that we use in our everyday life. I bought my phone used, I bought this camera here used, I bought most of the equipment that I use for the YouTube channel, this microphone and so many other things used, my monitor, gaming consoles, because it's absolutely the same principle. Like, except for Apple maybe, because they kind of like always have like the same prices. Doesn't matter how long you wait. Look at the current Samsung Galaxy phones, and after half a year or 1 year, the price just drops so significantly, which is almost insulting because you're paying so much more just half a year ago. A great site that I use quite often is, for example, backmarket.com, where you find loads of technology and so much stuff that you might need. This is no ad. I would love them to sponsor me because I use their stuff all the time. They're professionally refurbished. You can like select the condition you want to have, almost new, barely used, heavily used, whoever wants this, and select, for example, a new battery, additional warranty or stuff like that. And you just save so much money doing that, which I think is just great. So the next point, as a student, sounds kind of weird, but it is to cut out the middleman. Because let's face it, go on Amazon and look for basically any normal, let's say especially household article that you want to shop. It doesn't matter what it is. Basic stuff that is maybe not electronics, that is normally in the price range from $1 to $50 or so, that you just need in your everyday living, except for technology. Basically anything you see on Amazon starts at $10. No matter what it is. It could be, for example, the bracelet of my Mi Band here starts at $10. This little fake plant starts at $10. No matter how stupid and insignificant it is, it always starts like at $10 or $20. The reason here is that companies and especially sellers on Amazon know that you probably, if you live in a country that has Amazon, and the biggest markets for Amazon are Northern America and Europe, that you have a little bit more money to spend, and because they know that you are capable of spending more, they will automatically set the starting price way higher, and they just make use of your, compared to other countries, better financial situation, which is why everything on Amazon basically starts at $10 or so. The thing here is that, as I said, like this fake plant or my bracelet here for my Mi Band, or where I mounted my camera, or where I mount my microphone here, all of these things come from China. And I don't want to say this is good, I don't want to say this is bad. We live in an international economy. The thing is that I would argue that basically everything that you see on Amazon comes from China. So why not buy from China in the first place? So, because I started like the habit of going on sites like AliExpress or so. Don't go on Temu, I hate Temu. Like they're really, this is a horrible company. How it works is that sellers on Amazon will, for example, go to Alibaba, which is like the B2B, business to business version of AliExpress, and they will buy the stuff that you buy on Amazon is produced in China, and the sellers from the United States, for example, buy the stuff from Alibaba. So why not buy the stuff there in the first place? A while ago, I bought a new wallet for $1, and a month later, I saw the same wallet for $20 on Amazon. It's insane. This feels like a rip-off, but this is just how arbitrage works, basically. If there's something that is like not electronics or so, because I wouldn't trust like some Chinese sites, then why not buy there in the first place and don't get ripped off by sellers in Northern America or Europe or so, because they know that you could pay more. I don't want to glorify or judge it, but that's just what it is. But buy from the source directly, and oftentimes all the things that you would pay $10 for or $20 for, you get for $1 or $5 over there, and you save so much money. And number 4, I make it really quick. And for 2 categories of people, this doesn't work. If you're a car guy or a car girl, then if you love your car, then this is not for you. Or if you're dependent on a car and live in a really rural area, so where you cannot live without a car, then skip this part and go to the next point immediately. But if you're in a position where you own a car or you regularly drive with the car, but you don't necessarily need that car, and you are a student, we know how tight our budgets are, then does it really make sense? Because let's face it, cars are just super expensive. I just show some figures on screen. There's no way around it. Cars are super expensive. Like everything about a car is expensive. And I just asked myself, do I want to spend so much money? What I do is that I opt for using public transport and cycling, or just walking, quite frankly, because I use public transport because here in Germany it works quite well for my needs, and I like to cycle and walk as much as possible because this thing is almost free compared to running a car, which just eats up so much of your money. And I just decided, man, I don't technically need it. It is rather like comfort. So I try to avoid driving and avoid cars as much as possible and opt for public transport and cycling, which is like one of the biggest savings that you can actually make. If you live on the campus, why the hell do you have a car? Of course, no judge whatsoever, you do you. But if you can allow yourself to not own a car, you're just saving so much money. I cannot emphasize this enough. Cars eat up your money. And number 5, when the COVID pandemic hit, there was like a coincidence of several factors in my life that I decided to quit the gym. I've been going to the gym for like at least 7 years by now, and although I do not look super buff or am an expert or so, I've been constantly going to the gym for the last 7 years, except for 2 pauses. I've never been away from the gym like more than 2 weeks or so. Although I don't claim to be an expert or so, I basically know every machine, every exercise. I know how to work all the muscles on my body to get a good workout. And I realized that I don't need a fancy gym in the first place. Because I don't need 10 variations of each exercise to work out my muscle. And because gyms are so expensive nowadays and they just increase their prices with each year. When the COVID pandemic hit and I couldn't work out whatsoever, at the same time I was quite broke and I wanted to save loads of money. And quite frankly, I didn't like my gym that much at that point, and because I'm like rather introverted, I just figured I want to do this on my own and rather work out at home. The thing is, I'm not that big of a calisthenics guy, so I wanted to keep doing like gym exercises. And what I did, I ordered basically a cheap set of a bench, pull-up bar, a dip bar, and a pair of heavy dumbbells. And this has been now for years working perfectly fine for me. And I've basically am stronger now than I have been for many years. And I'm super motivated. I work out quite frequently. And this just saved me so much money over the last years because, as I said, gyms got just so expensive. And although there are many upsides to going to a gym, if you're short of money, and you want to work out, you can do, of course, calisthenics as well. But if you want to go to the gym, I spent like $250 on it in total on my equipment. And I can work out basically every muscle that I have. I might do an own video about my budget home gym tour. And I just love it. It works perfectly fine for me. And I can just regularly get my normal gym workout in. And I love it, and I save so much money. It is so easy nowadays to spend so much money because like you basically, so many payment options nowadays with buy now, pay later, you have dozens of payment options. And if you want to actually stop wasting your money, then I made this video right here where I covered the psychology and the mechanics on why you spend money that you don't have to buy stuff that you don't need to impress you don't even like, so that you can spend more of your money on things that actually matter to you in the long run. If that sounds interesting to you, make sure to watch this video right here. Besides that, as always, thank you so much for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.